Peace, my friends. How's it going? Hope you're having a blessed day. My name is Ben. Welcome back to another practice. I have one yoga block with me today, but you don't necessarily need it. But if you have a block, bring it in. And always helps to have some water. This is going to be a nice full practice. So set yourself up. If you like to listen to music in the background, maybe you throw some music on as well. Set up your space, dim the lighting a little bit, set your vibe up, and then let's get started in a child's pose. And I'm actually not going to talk very much. We're just going to take a minute or two to settle in with this balasana, child's pose. My only request is be conscious here. So don't just kind of go into a child's pose and then just kind of dump yourself into it. Like, be involved in the process, whether it's lengthening your spine or rooting your hips down, or you could kind of mosey or shift around in any way that feels good. But let this be something that you're involved in. So let your mind begin to connect to your body and your breath. Come on up into a tabletop. Once you get into your tabletop, come into a flipped wrist table. Really try to get a good flip though, so don't just turn at your hand. You'll notice I really tried to flip it at the shoulder and then place it down. So your whole arm is rotated, not just the hand. Once you're there, you could begin going through some cat-cows, or you could just kind of freely begin to find some movement into your pelvis and into your spine. If the flipped wrists ever get uncomfortable, just come out of it, no worries. That goes for everything in the class. Nothing here is forced. We don't force ourselves. We're here to feel good in our bodies. So of course, like, as a teacher, I want to try to make sure everyone has good alignment and does things in a certain way, but at the same time, I release all of that, and this video is really just for you to feel good. And so is every class on this channel. So we practice to feel good, and we change the practice however we need. Keep going for just a little bit more. And practicing to feel good doesn't mean we only do the things that are like pleasing to us, I love pigeon pose. It's not like I come to practice and I only do pigeon, right? I do the stuff that's challenging and creates discipline as well. But all that to say, we don't need to be suffering in our practice. And if you feel like you are suffering, then change some things that you're not. Come back into a tabletop pose, and then let's tuck the toes under for a down dog. Lift the butt up to the sky. You already know the vibes in downward facing dog. We bend the knees and then we lift the butt up to the sky so the middle of your butt cheeks face directly up to the sky. Push through your armpits so that you're not just pressing into the wrists. Try to distribute the weight and see if you can have the energy moving up instead of crashing down. So put the weight in your legs, and then from the legs, lift the energy up to your butt. Lots of effort in down dog, you know? Sometimes teachers say down dog is a resting pose, but not out here. We're working. We're getting some work done in down dog. Take 3 more breaths. From here, walk to the middle of your mat for a forward fold, Uttanasana. First step in your fold, bend your knees. So the weight is a little more in your toes than your heels. Your butt is pulling back at the same time. Bend your knees enough that you can fully fold at the hip crease. Fully fold at the hip crease. So there's no space between your belly and your thighs. Lengthen your spine and then drop into the folds. Keep the 100% hinge at the hip crease, but if you want to get deeper into the fold, you can focus on lifting your butt. Rock side to side if you want, from left foot to right foot. And I know it takes more effort here to have the knees bent, but what it does is it puts the weight in our legs, the upper body gets to be a little more free. And this way we're folded, right? We're folded. Think of yoga as origami for the body, just like origami is like yoga for paper. From here, slowly begin to stand up. Take your time. You can roll yourself up if you like, letting the spine slowly unfurl. Once you stand up all the way, turn your palms to face forward, close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so, and then take the head and neck through some circles. Once you've done that for a little bit, go ahead and take one wrist, roll it around a few times. Keep on breathing too. Anytime you notice yourself holding the breath, let it flow. Switch wrists, roll out the other wrist a little bit. And then once you've done that a little bit, shake it out if you want. You could shake out the shoulders. Roll it out. And then sweep the arms up, take an inhale. Forward fold on the exhale. Take a halfway lift on the inhale, lengthen the spine. And then bring the hands down to the mat. From here, step back to a down dog. And then right from down dog, go ahead and sweep your right leg up to the sky for a 3-legged dog. Bend the knee, open the hip, so think heel toward glute, and then start to open. You don't have to open too far, right? Play your game, play your levels, play your zones. Close it off to a 3-legged dog. Take an inhale. And then exhale, step all the way through to the top of the mat. For a lunge, drop your knee down, flip your foot down, and rise into a lunge. Arms up, or feel free to place hands onto your hips. And then just use this as an opportunity to get into the hips. So sometimes when I'm feeling really tight, like right now I'm feeling very tight in my body, what feels nice is to Just kind of come into and out of the lunge, come into and out of the end range a little bit. This just creates a little bit of a sense of fluidity. You can always move with your breath, right? How can you build your breath into the way you move? Also, it's worth saying that the sun will probably be kind of like setting over the course of this class. So I tried to make the video on the bright side to start, but it'll just get darker over time. And, you know, look, I'm not in charge of the sun. We still have a few more breaths here. You know, this is a Hatha yoga class as it's titled. And whenever you see Hatha yoga in the title, you should just let that tell you that we're not going to be flowing with our breath like we do in a vinyasa yoga practice. So we have time in all these poses. And sometimes that makes it easier, and sometimes that makes it harder. Like if we're holding Warrior 2 for a whole 2 minutes, it's not going to be easy. All right, from here, let's bring the hands down to the mat. Tuck the toes under, lift the back left knee up off of the mat. Left fingertips down toward the middle of your mat. Twist the right hand up to the sky. Look over to your right. Try to be strong in both legs. Feel the energy lifting up away from the ground instead of dumping into your left hand. After a few breaths, go ahead and come out of it. Both hands down, step back to downward facing dog. And I know when I say things like the energy is moving up, right? It's a little esoteric, right? It's just giving the mind something to play with. Because if the weight is dumping down, one thing we can do is mentally and energetically have the weight lifting up. It gives us a different experience in the pose. It brings our imagination in. And, you know, sometimes our psychology can change our physiology and vice versa. Go ahead and lift the left leg up to the sky for a three-legged dog. Heel to butt, scorpion dog, open it up. Close it off to a three-legged dog. Step through to the top of the mat for a lunge. Drop the knee down, flip the foot down, rise up. Grab your elbows. Do what you want. Grab your hips. Come into and out of it. This is your time in the lunge. It's always a worthwhile thing to do to simply observe the mind. Notice what thoughts come in and out. Notice when your mind goes into your memories or goes into the future. None of that's a bad thing, but the yogic practice is to notice, to observe, to be the seer, the witness. The drashtu is the Sanskrit word. Drashtu. Yoga Sutra 1.3, I believe it is. Yoga Sutra 1.1 says, and now the yoga begins, essentially, and now the teachings of yoga. So, yoga happens in the now is kind of what that's saying. Yoga Sutra 1.2 is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is a famous Yoga Sutra. It means yoga is the stilling of the turnings of the mind. Yoga is the stilling of the mind. Yoga Sutra 1.3 is Tara Drashtu Svarupe Vastanam, which means then the seer abides in its own true nature. So once we still the mind, then the seer or the witness or the soul is what that means, basically gets to abide in its own nature. It gets to witness itself. Anyways, shout out to any of y'all who find that interesting, you know? Let me know if you enjoy having little learnings about the sutras and stuff like that, because I love to nerd out about it. All right, come down to the mat, tuck the toes under, lift your knee up off of the ground, right foot or right hand towards the middle of the mat, twist, left hand up. I like to do this on fingertips because it just kind of keeps me accountable to not put all of the weight down into my hand. Revolve, open. And then come on out of it. Bring your hands down and step back into your downward facing dog. From down dog, go ahead and drop the knees down. Come into a toe seat. So sit back to your heels, but all of your toes are tucked under. And then we're just gonna chill here for a second. I'm gonna drink some water. It's a really good pose just to stretch the toes and the feet. You know, you gotta give the feet and the toes some love. Often we forget about them. I really gotta get my pinkies tucked under, you know, they try to slip out of there. Try to breathe nice and slowly. If this feels impossible, you know, if you just practice this a little bit every day, you'll develop a tolerance for it. Go ahead and come on out of it, untuck the toes, and then sit back to the heels once again, this time with the feet flat. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath in, sip in a little bit more air, and then take a nice full exhale. Breath in, sip in more air, feel the expansion, and exhale. Breath in, sip in more air, feel the expansion, exhale. Breath in, sip in more air, feel the expansion, exhale. 2 more. Breath in, sip in more, pause, exhale. Inhale, sip in more, hold at the top, let it go. All right, welcome to practice. Crawl yourself out, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lift right leg to the sky, three-legged down dog. Step all the way through to the top of the mat into a high crescent pose. So instead of dropping the knee, this time we keep the knee high. We rise up into a tall lunge. As always, your choice of what you do with your arms. You can keep hands at heart center or do anything else. Bring your awareness to the legs. And notice what you're doing with the back leg. Some people like to keep the back knee bent and focus on kind of tucking the tailbone a little bit, right or left glute forward. Some people like to straighten the back leg and really focus on driving the heel back and engaging the thigh muscles. In a lot of these poses, right, it's not like a right or wrong, but it's what is your intention, you know? And your intention could just be to explore and to feel it and to be in it. Start to straighten the right leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Hinge into a pyramid pose. You can always bring the hands down or keep the hands floating. I like to bring a little bend into the knee. And I like to find the full hinge at the hips. And I can do that if I bend my knee. So that's what bending, if I straighten my leg, I lose it. But if I keep the knee bent, pull the hips back and hinge, maybe you can find that nice fold. Add a twist. You're in this long stance pyramid still. Pull the right hip back. Pull the right hip back. And twist. Lengthen your spine forward. So think more about your lengthening your spine and then you're twisting from that length. High onto the back toes. Come down to the mat. Step back into downward facing dog. From down dog, you can move through a vinyasa if you want. What I'm going to do is go from down dog to tuck toe to up dog. Just be strong in the legs. Don't let the hips sag. And if you want to do a chaturanga, an up dog, or take a moment in child's pose, right? I just want to leave time to do upward facing dog or any of these poses. Once you're done with that, we'll meet back in down dog. We'll sweep left leg up to the sky. And then we'll step left foot through to the top of the mat for your lunge. High crescent. Come on up. Make this round about your breathing. You could close your eyes, or you could focus your eyes on one point, or you could look around your surroundings. But whatever you do, do it with a little more awareness than you may normally do it. Start to work into pyramid pose. Pull the hips back, straighten-ish through the left leg. You could stay upright, or you could fold all the way down. Add a twist. Untwist. Step back to dog. From down dog, go through a vinyasa, roll into an up dog, take a child's pose. You have a few breaths. And then back to down dog. From the down dog, walk up to the middle of your mat for another fold. Time for another hang. You know what to do. Bend your knees, hinge at your hips, find the fold, grab your elbows, drop the head. If it ever starts to feel like too much, just take a break. But think of this like one of our peak poses tonight, you know? You don't think of this as like a peak pose, but once you really sit in a hang for a while, you start to feel that it is a challenging pose when practiced with intentional technique and form to it, right? What I try to tune into is the release in my upper body. Anyways, I won't torture y'all any longer. Feel free to begin rolling yourself up to standing. Take your time so the blood doesn't rush too quickly to your head or anything like that. I don't want any of y'all getting lightheaded. Once you come on up to standing, let's go ahead and bring the left knee into the chest. Peace sign fingers to the big toe. Right hand up to the sky, or bring your right hand to your hip and then kick it forward. You don't have to straighten your leg all the way unless you want to. Right, more so try to keep both hips and shoulders kind of on the same plane. Utthita Hasta Padangunstasana A. Extended hand to foot, variation A. A really nice pose. Slowly release. Try not to fling your leg or anything. Try to be mindful as you come out of the pose. Do a few calf raises in between sighs. That sounds like a funny request, right? But I'm not doing this to like try to get you to have monster calves. I'm just doing this because it's good for the ankles. You know, it's good ankle and foot mobility to rock the weight back onto the heels. And so see if you can find this like full seesaw onto the toes, then onto the heels, then onto the toes. And just let this bring you into sensation of the bottom of your feet, because the bottoms of the feet is our foundation for any balancing posture. And doing things like this also is good practice for when we get a little wobbly or when we start to fall out of certain poses. All right, and then we can, no more of that nonsense. We'll go into the other side. So right knee up, peace sign fingers to the big toe. You can always like bend down a little bit to get the bind, and then you stand up and you start to straighten the leg to whatever capacity is there. I don't get my leg straight. If I got my leg straight, then this shoulder would start popping forward, and that's how I know that I actually am not flexible enough to straighten the leg, at least not right now. Maybe if I did like a full hamstring flexibility practice, I could probably get there. Try to have good integrity in the way you're standing, in the way you're breathing. Slowly release. From here, step to the top of your mat. Float the left knee into the chest, and then kick back into a warrior three. Arms do what you want. Feel free to reach the arms forward if you want the full variation. Try to breathe and try to be long from your back foot all the way through the head. Okay, here we go. Slowly step it all the way back. See how slow you can do the step back. And then we're going to go into a Skandasana lunge at the back of the mat. So you'll turn. You can use your hands as much as you like. And you'll work into the left leg. Try to have good length in your Skandasana. It's okay if your heel pops up off the mat. But if you feel like your legs are close together, see what happens when you spread them out a little. From here, start to lift up into a warrior two facing forward. So as you shift forward, we'll adjust the feet. Right toes face forward. Left toes face at just a slight angle forward. Arms open. All right, and that's because we inform the back hip rolls forward and down a little bit so we can really focus on opening this, this front right knee. Flip the palms open if you want. Take a nice deep breath in. And a nice deep breath out. One more time. Take a nice deep breath in. And a nice deep breath out. Stay in the pose. You can always come out of it, but we're energetically still in it. Even if you got to straighten your right leg for a second, we're still energetically in it. And then we go to triangle pose, Trikonasana. Let's go to a revolved triangle. So for most of us, including myself, that'll require shortening the stance and widening your stance so that you can pivot and turn forward a little bit. So I like to have my back toes facing almost all the way forward because we have to twist in the opposite direction. So left hand down, right hand up. Right hip pulls back. The butt pulls back. And then we revolve. You can always use a block here. Slowly untwist and go to a half moon. Try to keep your toes facing forward. Slowly step back, Skandasana, back of the mat. One more time. Lots of care in the transition since we're doing not as many of them. Shift forward, twisted lizard lunge. So drop the knee down, right foot is still forward. Twist, hug your heel in, and then you might catch a bind. We'll have some time here. You can always just drop into a lizard lunge too with your forearms down to the inside of your right ankle. That's a totally fine variation as well. Release the bind if you still have it. Bring the hands down, tuck the toes under behind you, lift the knee, and then step into Malasana, left foot outside of the left hand, and then sink the hips down. But you're not letting the hips sink down all the way, right? You're just sinking the hips to the level that serves you. Once you feel everything kind of rounding in, that's where it's no good. You want to keep the length in the spine, keep the integrity in the seat. You should be able to find a little bit of a bounce or a shift. From here, use your leg strength, power yourself up. Bring your feet back to hips width distance. We'll start by floating right knee into the chest as we go into the other side. Kick it back into a Virabhadrasana 3. See how slowly you can step back. Really control it. The longer it takes, the better. Once you hit the back of the mat, transition into your Skandasana. Try to have some length in your spine. Your hands can stay down. Your ankle can pop up. Just be where you are, but try to make it a nice, energetic pose. And then start to shift to a warrior two. Left toes face forward. Feel free to flip the palms up or take any other arm variation. Here we are. As you know, we have a little bit of time here. Tap into your breath. Make it a meditation. If you count the seconds, of course, it'll feel like a long time. So we breathe slowly and then we count the breaths. And then we'll go into triangle pose. Start to fold and find a revolved Trikonasana. So shorten your stance, widen your stance, turn the right toes forward so you can roll the right hip forward, and then revolve from that foundation. Block under the right hand, totally cool. Slowly release and begin to go forward for your balancing half moon. Embrace the balance challenge on one leg. And slowly step back. We'll go into Skandasana at the back of the mat. Take your time working the transition. And then we go to lizard at the top of the mat. Left foot forward. Left foot can go wider. Option to fold down or open into the twist. It's a blessing to be alive. Life may not be perfect. It may not even be close to being perfect. But it's a blessing just to be able to experience the imperfections of life. Feel free to release if you still have the bind. Tuck the toes under. Lift the knee and step forward into Malasana. Lengthen the spine as it's possible to do so. Feel the knees energetically opening away from each other. And then use the power in your legs to rise up. As you come up, go ahead and find left foot to left hand for dancer's pose. Natarajasana. I like to actually bind onto the ankle and then flex the foot back. Kick foot into hand. Slowly release, but instead of releasing the leg completely, go into your standing leg raise. Uttita Hasta Padangustasana A, once again. So first we were kicking back, now we're kicking forward, but we're still in the middle. We're just moving what the limbs are doing around us. Slowly release. Do your little seesaw thing, go from heels to toes, back and forth, get your feet involved, get your ankles involved. Bring your mind into the moment. Dancer side 2. I like to kind of just roll the right shoulder open because this is really a shoulder opener as well. Slowly release, head right into your standing leg raise. Slowly let the foot go. Separate the feet a little bit. Reach the arms up, take a breath in. Forward fold, take a breath out. For our third and final hang of the practice. And we're going to have some time here. So take a break when you want. If there's any other poses you want to do instead, I won't take it personally. Otherwise, we're in the hang. Embrace it. Slowly release. Sink down into a little squat. Find a seated position for some breath work. I'm going to go ahead and do Virasana, seated on the shins, with a block in between my ankles to lift my seat up a little bit. First, just come into a meditative moment. Take a nice deep breath in and a nice deep breath out. One more time, take a nice deep breath in and out. Let's take an inhale. Kapalabhati, sharp exhales. Exhale completely. Inhale all the way. Exhale all the way. Inhale all the way. Exhale all the way. Inhale. Take a sip through the nose. One more sip through the nose or mouth. Hold at the top for 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Feel the air exiting through the top of the head. Nice. From here, hands to thighs or to knees, wherever. Just begin taking a little bit of a cat-cow in the pelvis. And then we'll bring our breath into it. So let's inhale as we come forward. Exhale, pull back. In, out, in, out. So it's like a Bastrika bellows breath. You can always go slower or faster. Use your intuition. But let this start in the pelvis. Like striking a match a little bit with the pelvis tilting forward and back. And then find the center. So you've been rocking forward and back on the pelvis. Find where it is in the center where you can sit with a nice tall spine. Take a breath in. Sip in a little bit more. And then a nice full exhale. Shitali pranayama. Curl the tongue. As you'll see, I'm curling the tongue and then sticking the tongue slightly out my mouth. All right, so you're going to inhale through the curled tongue and exhale out the nose. Some people can't curl their tongue. I don't know why, but I think it's like a quarter of the population can't do it. If that's you, take Shitkari pranayama. Place the tongue on the, kind of like the top of your front, on the back of your front two teeth, at the roof of it, kind of like on the back of your front upper teeth. And then you can inhale through the mouth and let the air kind of pass through under the tongue, and it gives you that same cool breeze as Shitali. So either take Shitali, curl up the tongue, or Shitkari, tongue to the back of the top two teeth. And then inhale or exhale out through the nose. Feel free to proceed. This is a cooling pranayama. Let's do 3 more rounds of this. After you've done those 3 rounds, find your meditative seat, spine sits up tall, find the awareness centering at the third eye. And the breath just moves through you, let the breath kind of breathe you. If you want, you can lick your lips and swallow. We find gratitude, even if life is rough in this moment. We find gratitude that we have the ability to feel what we feel, knowing that everything has its polarity. So if we're in a dark moment, we know that there is light as well, to an equal and opposite amount. We trust that we always find the center. We trust that even though life has its ups and downs, we always have that inner self, that inner guidance, that inner peace, that inner calmness, even if it gets clouded sometimes. My friends, this is where I will end the practice, and I recommend you either continue to sit in meditation for another 5 minutes, or you lay down on the mat, take a shavasana, or if you like to do any other stretches like some pigeons or some twists, you can always add that in. but this was a complete practice in itself. So thank you for joining me. Let me know in the comments how you feel, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you very soon. Peace.